coming in at number 67, we have New Orleans Saints running back Alvin Kamara. And, before everybody just starts freaking out and kind of going crazy and smashing the dislike button just because they see that number, please just give me a minute, 2 minutes to try and, explain the context behind this ranking. And then maybe you won't agree with me, but maybe you'll see where I'm coming from, right? So first things first, 67. It probably seems kind of low to people. Well, you have to remember that this is not necessarily like the NFL's list or PFF's list. I'm not skewing this towards playmakers in any way. It's not like the NFL's list where they had one offensive lineman last year in the top 52. That's not what this is here. So, he's running back 6 on my entire list. So, don't think that there's like 10 running backs ahead of him or something just because he is here at 67. I am saying that he's just outside that top 5, which, maybe that alleviates some of your concerns. Maybe it doesn't, right? But obviously, I'm sure there are still some people freaking out. So before we hop into the video, what I will say is this. You got to recognize that my criteria that I'm grading on are not necessarily the same as those other lists you might be accustomed to. The NFL list, they're putting theirs out right now. You have to remember that list is simply looking at 2019 performance. And that's the only factor that comes into how they're ranking these guys. That's why there's so much fluidity from year to year. Well, my list doesn't necessarily have that because I'm not only looking at 1 year, nor am I projecting a year ahead, nor am I looking at, who's going to get the most points for your fantasy team. I'm trying to really isolate a player and their contributions and really just their traits to evaluate who would be the best in a universal setting, right? Obviously, it's tough to grade guys when some people have varying offensive lines, varying weapons, varying quarterbacks, etc. But that's exactly what I'm trying to do. So, of course, it is subjective. But, what I'll say is all the guys that I have ahead of him have either done one of two things, right? They've either been the number one offensive weapon on their team or they've overcome bad situations. Obviously, you might think, okay, Ezekiel Elliott, right? He's had the best situation in the league, you might say, with that fantastic offensive line. Well, he has proven time in and time out that pre-Amari Cooper, he can carry the load as a number one offensive weapon, whereas Kamara, he hasn't had to do that with Michael Thomas. Another guy, you might say, that's going to be coming up pretty shortly here, Nick Chubb, right? He hasn't necessarily shown that he could be the number one weapon. Obviously, he has had Odell. I think you can kind of debate who is the number one there. But here's the thing, right? Chubb, he's overcame that bad scenario in terms of that terrible offensive line, that kind of shoddy QB play with Baker Mayfield, etc. So that's why I have him above Kamara as well as 3 other guys, right? So we'll get to those guys when we get there, but I did just want to try and add some context to it. So those are my 2 things with Kamara. He hasn't been the number one weapon, and he has been the beneficiary of a great situation. But with that being said, I still have him number 67. He is one of the league's best running backs, no doubt, and here's why. And first things first, in terms of just what makes Kamara so good, I want to start with his acceleration, right? As I really do feel like it's at the root of so much of the success that he has as both a rusher and a receiver, right? I realize he's not one of the fastest guys in the league by any means. He ran a 4.56 40-yard dash back at the NFL Combine, but he is one of the league's fastest at that running back position when it comes to reaching that top end speed very quickly, right? And to me, that is what really starts to set him apart from his peers, as there's very few guys that just are able to put a foot in the ground and hit the hole as hard as Kamara is. And, it really leads to a lot of the success that New Orleans has on these types of inside zone running plays or outside zone plays, in particular for Kamara, that really do make up a large part of this offense. Obviously, on this play, what's so interesting is it's going to be just everybody blocking to their left, where Kamara essentially, he can choose what hole he wants to go to on this play. Obviously, these Dallas linebackers are shifting late, and it looks like it maybe causes a little bit of miscommunication on this front side. So what does Kamara do? He's going to bang it up right inside of DeMarcus Lawrence here, who, they're going to cross back for with Josh Hill, and he's able to take it right up that C-gap because he's able to put a foot in the ground, accelerate, and fly upfield for a first down. Just plays like these are so impressive because that's not the widest window of opportunity there, especially if Kamara hesitates even just a half second longer. Lawrence is probably going to meet Hill in the hole, and this play is destined to fail with a defensive lineman already having disengaged from Andres Pete on the play side, right? Well, look at how Kamara, again, he's just so fast once he does start to go, and as a result, first down for the Saints. And here's another great example. This time it's going to be against the Titans, where you're going to see him on just a simple running play to the offense's left. Well, look at how, this hole is constricting a little bit, but more importantly, look at how Kamara never gets touched from 40 yards out all the way until the end zone. Just wildly impressive because, again, you'd think that somebody on the defense would be in a good enough position to even lay a hand on Kamara, but no, he's able to just fly through this hole once he reads and reacts to, where the defenders are going, and as a result, we have a huge touchdown. What you see initially is, again, this is not the widest hole here. Obviously, you can see it forming a little bit there, but look at how Kamara, he's just slightly patient enough to wait for it to develop a little bit longer, but once it does, he goes, and man, does he go, right? And that's why the Saints, they get 6 points on the board off the back of Kamara's acceleration. And it almost should go without saying, but, acceleration without vision is essentially worthless, right? As, no matter how fast you can reach that top speed and hit the hole, if you can't locate and find those holes at a consistent rate, you'll never have success in the NFL as a running back. And, Alvin Kamara, in terms of the vision department, he's one of the league's best. So I just grabbed a couple quick plays here to show where you can kind of see that on display, right? So this one's going to be against the Panthers where, initially it's just a quick little misdirection play to the offense's right. Well, there's really nothing that appears to be opening up. Well, Kamara, he's very patient in terms of reaching the line of scrimmage, but once he does see Will Clapp getting some movement on a nice down block on the 5 technique, he really does just put a foot in the ground, go, and kind of flips the switch and flies through the line of scrimmage to put you on the goal line just like that, right? And as you see, there's Will Clapp getting nice movement. There's Kamara reacting, flipping that switch on, and just going and really putting you right inside the 5-yard line simply because of his vision. And I call this next one anticipation, but it's virtually the same thing. I just think it's so impressive how exceptional Kamara is at playing off of his offensive players' blocks, as well as reading the defenders that he's going against to determine his path to, in this case, the end zone, right? As, what you're going to see off this play, and we're going to watch it a couple times, is watch how Kamara, he almost goes against what he's supposed to do on this play simply due to what he's reading by the defense, right? What you're going to see off the snap is look at how Kamara, he's, for all intents and purposes, supposed to take this play inside of Larry Warford here, right? Ryan Ramczyk and Warford, they're both going for inside leverage on these defenders. But look at how Kamara, he just has exceptional anticipation to where he's able to recognize that Wes Horton here, number 96, he's going to see that his back is turned, and there's actually a better chance that he's going to make the play if he does continue in this kind of A gap. Instead, he should bounce it back towards B gap where the safety is not in great position to make a play on him. And as a result, you're going to see him bounce it outside, really where he's not necessarily supposed to go. But it pays off perfectly as, the safety gets caught in the wash. Wes Horton, he's out of the play, and 6 points are on the board. It's just so impressive because, we'll play it back in full speed. Again, as I said, this play isn't designed to go back outside in that B to C gap range, but Kamara, he does such a great job of playing off of, everybody's actions that he makes plays like these on a pretty consistent basis. Another area where Kamara just jumps off the tape to me is in his balance and body control, as he's not a powerful runner like, say, Leonard Fournette, who I did at number 89, who's delivering blows and punishing guys on contact. What Kamara's great at is absorbing those blows and kind of playing off of them with his elite balance and body control. And that's exactly what you're going to see here on this A-gap draw play against the Falcons, where look at how the Falcons safety, Damontae Kazee, he gets a pretty decent chunk of Kamara's legs. Well, what you're going to see on the other view is Kamara, his body is completely contorted in the air. And, for most guys, this is likely a short gain. But look at how Kamara, he's able to play off that contact and somehow maintain balance with simply 1 foot in the ground at a pretty ridiculous angle. And that's exactly what you're going to see here is look at Kamara just, there's no reason that he's still up on this play. But look at how, again, he doesn't panic when he's in the air and both feet are off the ground. He does a great job of putting that left foot on the ground, regaining balance, and continuing to accelerate to pick up a massive first down here for the Saints. Just plays like these are so impressive because there's very few running backs that are making plays like this on a regular basis, but Kamara most certainly is. And here's another just beautiful example where you're going to see Kamara just exhibit some great balance. This time I called it contact balance because, he's going to essentially force 3 guys to miss and whiff on tackles simply due to his freakish body control, right? So initially it's going to be a draw play where first off he recognizes, there's nothing inside. He shows some great vision bouncing it out. And what you're going to see is just the fantastic balance as he evades and kind of fights through tackles by Carlos Watkins, by Justin Reed, and ultimately by Aaron Colvin as he fights off those 3 guys and is ultimately brought down by Jonathan Joseph for a 28-yard gain. He has no business of even picking up 5 yards on this play based off the initial penetration by that Texans defense. But look at how he just does such a great job of weaving in and out of contact and ultimately getting a massive first down here by the Saints on another draw play. And I call this next one here agility because, man, there's very few in the league better than Kamara at tempoing down, planting a foot in the ground, changing direction, and accelerating away from defenders, right? And that's exactly what you're going to see on this simple toss play to the offense's right. As, Kamara, he's going to hit the line of scrimmage and recognize, man, all I see are white jerseys ready to make a tackle. There's 5 Buccaneers there, all of whom could bring Kamara down. Look at how he just plants, does a great job planting that right foot, changing directions and accelerating out of that dead stop to beat everybody back around that left edge as he reverses the field and picks up a first down that he had no business getting by any stretch of the imagination. Again, you're going to see it here where there's 5 Bucks defenders here, all of which could pretty easily make this play, and there's 2 more rallying as well as 1 more in space. This play is dead in the water, but really, when you're the Saints, nothing is dead with Alvin Kamara, because again, look at how he just plants that right foot, decides I'm gonna reverse this field back to the left. I can beat these guys to that edge, and he does exactly that, picking up just a beautiful first down on a great play here. And there's very few guys in the league that I'd advise to try and reverse the field and go back the other way, but if you're Alvin Kamara, you can make these plays like no other. And I love this next play here because it's very simple. It's just a little flare out to the flats where Kamara, he's going to catch the ball at a dead stop. But what's so impressive to me is the move that he makes afterwards to make Jayon Brown here, the Titans linebacker, miss. What you're going to see is, again, Kamara's he's in a dead stop, right? But he's planting that right foot hard to the outside. Well, watch how he's somehow going to make Brown miss to the inside, despite the fact that Brown has fantastic inside leverage right now. If you're Brown, you're doing everything right in terms of forcing Kamara towards the sidelines. Well, when it's a guy with Alvin Kamara's agility, he's never out of a play. He's never necessarily just going to go out of bounds, because, when you can plant your foot in the ground and kind of freeze a defender and beat him back to the inside like that, why wouldn't you try it on a regular basis? And Kamara certainly does, and that's one of the things that makes him so effective, especially after the catch. It's just kind of wild to me because, again, you just see how much inside leverage Brown has here. And, you'd expect if Kamara is going to beat him anywhere, it's going to be up the sidelines. Well, no, Kamara just has such great agility where he's still able to somehow beat him back to the inside. I don't know why the video jumped, but regardless, look at how plants the foot, freezes Brown, and beats him back inside to where he's able to pick up the first down again for the Saints. And next up, I wanted to talk about Kamara's elusiveness, right? As there's very few, if any, in the league better than he is at stringing together multiple moves to kind of make guys miss in space, right? And on this play, you're going to see just that, as Mike Edwards, this Buccaneers safety here, he does a wonderful job at reading and reacting to the inside zone running play by the Saints, where he's going to be right in the hole at the line of scrimmage to meet Alvin Kamara. Well, Kamara's going to show off just some great agility and short area quickness to make Edwards miss to the outside, and then he's going to recognize that Sean Murphy-Bunting's coming in from the outside, so he's going to break inside and make him miss as well. It's just, it's almost like an NBA in-and-out crossover where it's just a quick little bang-bang, and there goes 2 guys. Now he's creating positive yardage on a play that, again, had no business of getting any. It's just a great play by Edwards initially that, again, I'd say against probably 90% of the running backs in the league, this is a tackle for a loss. But Kamara, he's in that kind of 5-10% of guys that, no matter where you have them, they can always make you miss it. And that really is what comes down to a lot of his successes. This play is, as I said, just dead in the water, but Kamara, he creates something out of nothing, making Edwards miss, making Murphy-Bunting miss, and then getting brought down for 5 yards when he probably should have, had a loss. And I love this next play here by Kamara, as it's just going to be a quick little screen pass out to the offense's left, where first off, you're going to see, great contact balance is in space as he's able to eat a blow, but more importantly, the elusiveness, as, it's like, now you see me, now you don't. He's doing his best David Blaine impression as he pops back out, shows off the great acceleration, beats the Seahawks to the sidelines, and shows off great body control as he tiptoes for a first down. Again, I hate to keep saying it, but it's just a play where, again, he has no business getting anything really on this play, yet he's able to get a massive first down conversion here from 15 yards out. Just wildly impressive stuff like this, because again, this play should be dead in the water, not only with that first contact, but once he starts ducking behind all these offensive linemen, there's no way that he should be able to find his way out of it, but he does, and that's one of the things that just makes him so special. A lot of it is that vision, that elusiveness, that acceleration, and really everything we've talked about to this point as a runner. And while I might have ended the video there for most normal running backs, and Alvin Kamara is the furthest thing from a normal running back, right? As if we were just talking about pure runners, I don't think that I would have him higher than guys that I've done previously, whether that's Dalvin Cook, Leonard Fournette, Josh Jacobs, etc. I think that they're better pure running backs, but Alvin Kamara, he's that new age running back in a sense in which, he's never had over 1,000 yards on the ground, but he supplemented his 700-800 yard rushing seasons with 700-800 yard receiving seasons, and that is really what makes him so good and so dynamic as a player. As not only is he your primary running back, but he's also a massive threat in the receiving game. It's almost like having a slot receiver in the backfield coming out on routes in which you put him one-on-one against a linebacker and he's going to make you pay, because he is just so great at creating separation with that acceleration, that change of direction ability, the agility and elusiveness in space, just so much of that stuff, right? And it really is what makes Kamara so great. So I did want to just include a couple plays here where you see him getting massive chunk plays through the air, in which, you know, they're not very different from his plays on the ground, right? This play, it's going to be a simple angle route out of the backfield where he's just going to catch Zach Cunningham sleeping, essentially, where he freezes him with that right foot plant, left foot go, just like he did John Brown earlier on the sidelines. The problem is this time it's pre-catch instead of post-catch, and as a result, you have just a massive gain through the air on an angle route that most running backs probably aren't getting, because, again, no, Kamara, he's not the fastest guy in the league by no means, but, you know, in space, he can make you miss like no other, and that's why he is getting 700-800-yard receiving seasons. Just so effective. And, you know, it's not only the route running that's so impressive to me, it's the afterwards part as well. The fact that he has such great hands. You know, this man, he's been targeted almost 100 times every single year in his career, and he's hauling the ball in at an 80.4% catch rate. That's just insane when you consider that's higher than most, if not all, receivers in the league, and this man's a running back first. Just wildly impressive stuff that really, you know, creates a whole nother dynamic that you have to plan for as a defensive coordinator. And I know that last play I was kind of just talking about him as a receiver in general, but I do want to talk about just what makes him so effective consistently as a receiving threat, right? So what you're going to see on this play is him running an option route, right? Well, the whole idea of this route is he's going to isolate a linebacker in space, in which he's going to tempo down right around the 14-yard line there, right? Well, essentially, he's coming to a dead stop, and he's utilizing that vision and anticipation to recognize where do I have leverage on this linebacker one-on-one in space. So what you're going to see is, you know, this route is a two-way go. He could either bust it left or bust it right, and because Darius Leonard is shading him to the inside, Kamara, he's going to bust it out to the left, utilizing that quick change of direction ability as, again, he's just going to point that right foot on the ground, accelerate to the outside, and then make a beautiful catch, you know, kind of right off the turf to put the Saints within the 10-yard line. It's just plays like these that are almost unstoppable because, you know, as a linebacker, how are you supposed to defend this? If you're a defense, you almost need to commit two guys to him to prevent him from going either inside or outside. But realistically, you just can't do that, especially when you have other guys on the field, like, say, Michael Thomas commanding, you know, double teams frequently on the edge. And, you know, here you can just see it a little bit better. Look at how Darius Leonard, he's shading Kamara to the inside. So that's going to tell Alvin, okay, I'm going to bust it outside. And, you know, Drew Brees, he knows this. He knows that this is a two-way go. And you see Kamara put the foot in the ground, go, make a nice catch, and get the Saints within the 10-yard line. Just plays like these are so impressive because, again, how do you stop it? You know, defensive coordinators, you know, they don't have the answer, and neither do I. That's why this man hauls in 80 catches pretty much annually and is one of the most dynamic guys in terms of his dual threat ability in the league. And lastly, you know, speaking of dual threat, I did want to include one final play here where we see Kamara mashing everything we've talked about together. You're going to see him not only getting open on the screen play, going up, you know, showing off the nice hands and securing the ball at the catch point, but then you're going to see him, more importantly, transition from receiver to runner and then implement everything we've talked about prior to the receiving section. It's just so impressive as, you know, here you have the Saints 30 yards out, look at him slip through the line of scrimmage, get open, and then you're just going to see great vision, great contact balance, great acceleration, and ultimately a great touchdown here for the New Orleans Saints. It's just so impressive, again, because there's so few guys in the league as good through the air as Kamara is, and you could debate that he might be number one. He's just that good, and honestly, even though, as I said, he might not be the best runner, he might not even be a top 10 running back if we're being completely honest. The fact that he's able to make plays like this and just make guys miss with this frequency in space and you know, kind of be a home run hitter for the Saints offense, it just has him as, to me, one of the top 10 running backs easily. I have him as number 6 and ultimately number 67 on my list. With that being said, if you guys did enjoy this video today, make sure you not only leave a thumbs up, but also leave a comment in the comment section down below. You know, I always say it, but I'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback on my evaluation and ranking of Kamara. But more importantly, I'd love to hear your evaluation and ranking of him in the comments down below. Obviously, I think this one's probably going to be a little bit controversial just because, you know, the big 67. But when you take into consideration my criteria, I don't think saying he's running back 6 is that crazy. Right. And hopefully you guys see that. Hopefully, you know, if you do want to have some discussions about it, they take place down below. But with that being said, you know, I don't really have much else for you guys today. Make sure you subscribe if you enjoyed the video. If you're a Saints fan, there's most certainly going to be quite a few more Saints yet to come in the final 66. But more importantly, if you're just an NFL or a football fan, make sure you subscribe as well because, you know, maybe you don't like the Saints, but I'm sure whoever you do like, whatever team or players, they will be well represented here in these final 66 videos as we are really hitting the halfway point and ultimately conclude this series. So with that being said, I'm mic'd up and I'm mic'ing out. Peace, guys.